welcome to the Stop Anything podcast. I'm your host, Will Dole. Thank you for listening. If you enjoy, you can rate and review in Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. If you're on Substack, feel free to like, share, comment, restack, whatever it is you want to do to share the fact that you're enjoying it. Today, we have a review of two books that I read in tandem: How to Buy Whole Life by Ryan Griggs and Building Your Warehouse of Wealth by R. Nelson Nash. I read these two books in tandem. Nash was the brain behind the infinite banking concept, which was virtually unheard of 25 years ago and is all over the internet today. It's a method of using cash value whole life insurance to supercharge one's savings. I've reviewed previously his book, Becoming Your Own Banker. You're using the cash value whole life insurance to basically, you're using the premium as a functional savings account as you build cash value in the life insurance. And then you use the accumulated access to capital in the cash value as a way to finance via policy loans the things that in life you generally need to finance, whether that's your vehicles or home or investment or vacations or whatever you choose to finance. You use it not technically with money that you have saved because you have paid that as premium into the policy that's given you access to borrow that money from the life insurance company. But anyway, that's the idea. In short, it's a system to take control, as Nelson Nash argues, of the banking function for one's life and family. After reading Nash's Becoming Your Own Banker, it seemed natural to read his follow-up book. He wrote it about a dozen years later, called Building Your Warehouse of Wealth. This was my second time reading it. It did not improve from the first time I read it. Don't get me wrong. There are definitely some helpful concepts in here, especially the front end of the book. There is some interesting stuff, but on the whole, this book mostly comes across as the disorganized rambling of a grumpy old man. He has a strong contrarian streak, which I enjoy. I mean, you wouldn't come up with an idea like IBC without having a contrarian streak. And so I appreciate that about him. But at times in this book, it veers over almost into like conspiracy adjacentness in a way that I just can't get behind. The longest chapter of the book is towards the end. It's a retelling of Israel's history from the Old Testament, but it's really a pretty bad retelling of Israel's history. It emphasizes things that are not the emphases of the biblical text. This book was worth skimming maybe for a few IBC ideas if you're interested in the concept, but it's not worth a close read by any means. On the other hand, Ryan Griggs's book, How to Buy Whole Life, is a gold mine of clear explanation about how whole life insurance actually works, and does a good job cutting through the noise that you read online, either of people from like a Dave Ramsey perspective who think whole life is the worst thing in the world, but I don't think really understand how it's being used in the IBC concept. On the other hand, it also cuts through a lot of the pro IBC stuff that you see online now that basically treat it as a get rich quick scheme. And he illustrates that for the infinite banking concept to actually work, you need to understand how whole life insurance functions, and you have to be committed to it with a long-term mindset. If you're trying to do it for the short term and maximizing cash values and minimizing death benefit, you're really kind of missing the point, and it's not a get rich quick scheme. If you treat it that way, you're going to get the results of most get rich quick schemes, which are poor. This his focus on the long term and how that affects how you structure things even in the beginning, it really was helpful. It was quite simply the best and most helpful book I've read on this subject. And in the Substack post for this episode, I have linked his YouTube page as well, where he explains a lot of the same ideas in verbal form. I preferred reading Ryan Griggs to watching his YouTube channel, to be quite frank. I thought he expressed himself more clearly in writing than he does verbally, but it's still little bit I've watched on YouTube. It's not bad. It's just he was better in writing. I wish there was a hard copy of the book. I only see it as an ebook on Amazon, and that's how I read it. I read it on Kindle. So anyway, it was nice to read on an airplane ride. So all that said, this has been the Stopping to Think podcast. I'm your host, Will Dole, not providing any financial advice to anyone out there, just letting you know what I read. Thanks for listening.